Hello, welcome to today's practice. Let me know how it goes. Let me know what you thought. The comments are below. Maybe you like the video. Maybe you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Maybe you share it with friends or family or anybody who might benefit from it. Looking forward to hearing how it went for you, and see you on the mat. So as you find your seat, maybe your eyes closed for a few moments here. You might rest your hands in your lap. And then bring your attention to that body. Maybe feel those parts of it that are making contact with the surface, and notice that. And then maybe you notice that there's clothing on your skin, and that contact also creates a sensation that your attention can rest on. Maybe notice that there is contact with air around you too. And then notice that there is breath, and that with that breath that there's movement and there's sensation as you breathe in and breathe out. And apart from being many other things, let your yoga practice be a meeting of mind and body. When the mind comes where the body is, you come into the present. You are here in awareness in this moment. If you haven't already, begin to breathe a bit more through your nose. Maybe explore making your breath a bit more expansive, maybe a bit slower. And then use your inhale to find a bit more length through the spine, reaching the crown of the head away from the tailbone. And on your exhale, lower the chin towards your chest, finding space in the back of your neck. You might even encourage your shoulder blades to draw a little closer behind you and down. And then from here, beginning to find some half circles with the neck. So moving the right ear towards the right shoulder. And then back through center, chin to chest, and then left ear, left shoulder. And continuing like that a few more times at your own pace. Noticing whatever you notice here. And staying connected to your breath cycle. And the next time that your right ear is towards your right shoulder, pausing there. And then finding some movement now, chin towards the shoulder and chin away from the shoulder towards the ceiling, some rotation. Any amount, your eyes could stay closed or gently open. And then whenever you're ready, bringing your chin back through center, chest, and then over to the left side, left ear, left shoulder, and keeping this incline with your head, finding that rotation, any amount that's available here. Exploring with curiosity and some playfulness. And then as you're ready, bringing the chin back to the chest, pausing for a moment, can you invite again those shoulder blades to come a little closer behind you and down? Noticing that big stretch for the back of the neck. And then with your next breath in, lifting the chin away from your chest and reaching your arms out into a T as you turn your palms to face up towards the ceiling. And then turn your palms to face down and back. Find that rotation all the way into your shoulders and then all the way into the spine. So as you inhale and your palms turn up, you find a bit more of a cow spine, so extension through the front body. And then as you exhale and your palms turn back, find a bit more of a cat spine, flexion, rounding through that back body. And then again, maybe the head follows along, your chin lifts as you inhale, and your chin lowers as you exhale. And another one, breathing in and breathing out. And then the next time that you come through center, neutral spine, your palms are facing forward, and then make a fist and then drop the knuckles towards the floor. So you're getting a stretch through the thumb side of your wrist, your hand. Pinky side is coming in towards the forearm. Take another breath. See if you can keep that neutral spine. Quite the stretch for the inner part of the wrist or the thumb side. And then open up the hands. Give your fingers a nice wiggle. And then right arm comes across the chest. Bend the elbow and use your left hand to draw that right elbow in a bit more. Try to drop your right shoulder away from your ear. Try to keep the spine growing up tall. Take a breath in and out. And then take your arms out into a T once again and switch. Left arm comes across the chest, elbow bent, and your right hand is going to draw that elbow in. And then again, see if that left shoulder can lower. See if the top of the head can grow. Another breath. With your next inhale, take your arms out into a T, turn your palms to face back, and now slide the hands behind you, interlace your fingers, send the knuckles towards the floor as you broaden through the fronts of your shoulders and your chest. And for some of us, if the hands or the knuckles reach the ground, push into the ground and use that as leverage to find a bit more space in the front body. Take another inhale and exhale. And then release that, reach your arms tall, breathing in. And on your exhale, lower the hands in front of you and maybe roll over those feet as you come into a table pose. Your hands more or less under your shoulders and your knees more or less under your hips. And then here, just find some movement through your legs. So tap the tops of the feet down against the ground. Maybe rotate your ankles a few times in both directions. You give your toes a wiggle, and if you're tapping the tops of the feet down, see if the toenails can also make contact. Notice if there are any toenails that are resisting, like my pinky toe kind of doesn't want to contact the ground. Just notice. And then when you're ready, tuck your toes, you're on the balls of the feet, and then send your hips a little bit more towards your heels, but not down as if you were coming into child's pose, just back. And as you do that, you might notice you become lighter on your knees, and maybe even your knees can float off the ground. And take a breath, stretch through the soles of the feet, the arch. Another inhale. And then on your exhale, return your knees down, come back into your table pose, tops of the feet to the mat. As you breathe in, reach your right arm out to the side and up towards the ceiling. And then on your breath out, thread right arm under left and look to the left. Inhale again, open up. On your exhale, we are threading, but we're going to bend into the left elbow to hover, get really close to the ground without touching. And then inhale again, open. Exhale, thread and hover, get really close. Another one, inhale, open. And exhale, thread and hover. As you inhale, open. And on your exhale, return right hand under right shoulder. As you breathe in, come into cow pose. Drop the belly, tailbone up, chest forward, gaze up. As you exhale, cat round your spine, chin to chest. 2 more. Breathing in. And breathing out. And another. Return to your neutral spine. Spread those toes. Once again, push those toenails down. And then find that left arm. Reach it out to the left, up towards the ceiling. On your exhale, thread, look to the right. Inhale again, open up left. Exhale, now thread, bend into your right elbow and hover over the ground as close as you can get without touching. Inhale, open again, left. Exhale, thread and hover. And one more, inhale, open. And exhale, thread, hover. As you inhale, open again to the left. And on your exhale, return left hand to the mat. Take an inhale into cow. On your exhale, round cat. Add in the legs if you'd like. As you inhale into cow, lift the heels of the feet towards your glutes. And then on your exhale into cat, tuck the toes, float your knees and round your spine. And try that 2 more times, breathing in. And breathing out. And 1 more. And then with your next inhale, come back into your cow. And as you exhale, find that floating cat and then take it into downward facing dog. You could do staying in down dog for a few breaths, or you could do down dog, back into table, a cow, and then back into downward facing dog. So about 5 breaths, you choose here what feels right. And again, bring in that exploration, that curiosity. And then the next time that you find downward facing dog, pause there. Let your hips shift a bit from side to side. Let your knees bend and straighten. Take another full breath in and out. And then use your next inhale to walk your hands towards your feet, coming towards the back of your mat. Forward fold as you exhale. With your next inhale, bend the knees, rise into chair, sweep your arms forward and up. And then on your exhale, bring hands to your heart. Take a pause here, send a bit more weight into your heels, lighten up on your toes, maybe even lift them. Find that work in your thighs and then find some ease, maybe in your shoulders, maybe in your face. Another breath. And 1 more. With your next inhale, push the floor away, straighten through your legs, reach your arms tall, and as you exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, come back center, and side bend left. Let's do 1 more of each. Come back through center, side bend right, and center, and to your left. On your inhale, back through center, sweep your arms wide and behind you, interlace them at the lower back. Slide those knuckles down towards the floor, broaden through your chest. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, a bend in the knees, keeping that interlace of your hands, fold forward. Drop the head and maybe reach the knuckles towards the ceiling. Squeeze the shoulder blades and imagine you were pulling, or actually don't imagine, do. Pull the shoulders, the fronts of the shoulders away from the floor. At the same time, let the head drop heavy. Take another breath. And then release those hands. Walk them to the top of the mat. Find your plank. Take a breath in. And then on your exhale, move back into downward facing dog. Let's do 2 more of those. Roll out into plank pose, coming onto the balls of the feet, maybe even onto your tiptoes. And then move back into down dog, coming back onto balls of the feet, heels heavy towards the ground. Again, inhale out into plank. Maybe those tiptoes, that massage for your toes. Exhale, return to downward facing dog. Once you get to down dog, pause, breathing in and breathing out. Another one. And last one here. See if you can broaden your shoulder blades just a tad. And then as you inhale, walk your feet to your hands, coming now to the top of the mat. Halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Inhale, return to chair, bending the knees, arms forward and up. And exhale, bring hands to your heart. Pause for a breath in and a breath out. As you inhale, straighten legs, arms reach tall, side bend left, exhale. Inhale back through center and to your right. Inhale back through center, left foot is going to step back, warrior one. No rush to get there. Find that steady, stable base. Really engage through your back leg, push through the pinky side edge of the foot. And then push the floor away with your front foot. See if you can feel really strong and stable through those legs. And then as you inhale, extend your arms overhead. On your exhale, bend your elbows, more or less 90-degree angles. Take your elbows back as you find space in the fronts of your shoulders. And then bring your elbows forward as you feel the fronts of your armpits engage. You're going to try drawing your elbows towards one another, not your forearms or hands. So almost like if you were trying to make a V shape with your forearms. And then again, open up, inhale. And exhale, elbow to elbow. One more, inhale, open. And exhale, elbow to elbow, ribs lower. As you inhale, extend your arms overhead. And on your exhale, arms go wide and behind you, interlace your fingers. Send the knuckles down the back leg, broaden through your chest, squeeze the shoulder blades, and then keep the legs as they are and send your chest forward and down. Crown of the head is going to be reaching forward, the knuckles are reaching back. Front shin reaching forward, back foot pressing back and down. And then find a little engagement as if you were trying to pull your front heel towards the arch of the back foot. Another breath in and out. As you inhale, rise up, release your hands, reach your arms tall. Come onto the ball of the back foot, back heel lifts, and we're coming into a balance at the top of the mat. Keep your left knee lifted in front of you. So now here with the left knee bent, we're finding a twist. Right hand can come to that left knee. Left arm reaches behind us as we turn the torso towards the left. Depending on how you're feeling here, maybe that left leg extends out. Maybe the knee stays bent. Breathe in and breathe out. With your next inhale, return the torso through center. Maybe arms reach tall. And as you exhale, hands to your hips and left foot lowers next to the right. You're back in your mountain pose. Shoulders come up by the ears. Breath in and lower. Breath out. As you inhale, arms wide and up. And on your exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands and step back, downward facing dog. 3 times plank down dog. As you breathe in, coming forward slow. On your breath out, slow 2, up and back. 2 more. We're meeting in downward facing dog, walking the hands towards the feet. Forward fold, exhale. Bend the knees, rise into chair, inhale. And exhale, bring hands to your heart. As you inhale, straighten legs and arms. Exhale, side bend. Back through center, inhale. Over to the other side, exhale. Center, inhale. Take your arms wide and behind you. Maybe switch the interlace of your fingers. Knuckles towards the floor. Find that opening through the chest. And then folding forward again. A bend at the knees. Think belly, ribs towards your thighs. Top of the head towards the floor. Knuckles towards the ceiling. Fronts of the shoulders away from the floor. Take a breath. And then release those hands. Walk your hands to the top of the mat. Plank pose once again. Take a full inhale. And on your exhale, downward facing dog. Breathing in and out. Making your way to the top of the mat. You could do walking, or if you'd like, you could do a hop or a few hops. Lifting your heels, bending the knees, look beyond your fingers, and then eventually your feet towards your hands. Halfway lift when you get there, and fold, exhale. As you inhale, back into chair. And on your exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, side bend. Inhale, back through center. Exhale, other side. Inhale, center. We're going warrior one. This time, right foot stepping back. I really like these transitions into warriors. There are opportunities to play with the balance, to slow down that movement, that arrival. We'll meet with that back foot well planted, strong, engage the right glute. And the way to engage it is kind of, if you try pushing the floor away, you'll feel that back leg really present. And then when you've got your legs set, arms lift, breath in. Exhale, bend those elbows. Again, see if you can keep your elbows more or less in line with your shoulders as you find this movement. Take your elbows back. And then exhale, elbow to elbow in front of you. But think about hands and forearms moving away from one another. And then again, open up. Exhale and squeeze forward. One more, breath in. And breath out. As you inhale, extend your arms overhead. And on your exhale, arms wide and behind you. Find that interlace at the lower back and then extend your arms. Broaden through your chest. And when you're ready, hinge from that left hip forward and down. And this is not a floppy pose. It's a very active, engaged pose. So you find engagement through your legs, that pushing into the floor, kind of splitting the mat apart, but not so much that you lose your center. So there's got to be a little pull in too. And then the same thing with the head and the knuckles of the hands reaching in opposite directions. And then the ease and the softness in the middle, the face, eyes, the jaw. Maybe the thoughts, can we soften those? Or the grip that they have on us. One more breath. And then as you inhale, rise up with your torso, release your hands. We'll come into that balance at the top of the mat. So again, slow. Lift that back heel onto ball of foot. Send weight into that front leg. And then see if that right knee can stay lifted in front of you. Take a full inhale. And we're finding a twist towards the right. Left hand can rest on that right thigh. That right arm reaches back. And you're rotating your rib cage towards the right side. Maybe staying here or maybe exploring straightening any amount that right leg. Breath in. And breath out. One more. And then returning the torso through center, maybe keeping the leg as is. And on your exhale, hands lower by your side, right foot meets the left. You're back on 2 feet, mountain pose. Breath in. And breath out. As you inhale, sweep your arms up. On your exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale to a halfway lift. And exhale, hands plant, feet back, downward facing dog. Pause, breathing in and breathing out. Another one. With your next inhale, lift your heels. And as you exhale, bend the knees. We'll count to 5 to lower the knees to the mat. Your challenge is to keep your down dog with your upper body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to hover. And lower. Both knees down. Your hands come under your shoulders. You're in your table pose. Take an inhale, cow. And then as you exhale, find cat. Come onto your fingertips, lifting the palms of the hands. Maybe walk your hands a little closer to your knees and find some extra space between your shoulder blades, the back of your neck. Breath in. A breath out. And try that again, another breath. And then return onto your hands. We're going to do the thread the needle again, just the way we did it before, and then we're going to add a little something at the end. So we'll start with the right side. As you inhale, take that right arm out to the right, up towards the ceiling. Remember to find that rotation through your rib cage. So don't make it just about cranking that shoulder open. Actually, the shoulder stays pretty neutral, kind of in line with your torso. And then on your exhale, thread. Find that hovering, that work through your left arm. Inhale again, open up. Exhale, thread. And inhale, open. And exhale, thread, hover. On your inhale, open. And now swim your right arm forward and land on your fingertips. So palm is lifted, forearm, elbow are lifted, and then come onto your left forearm. So left forearm down, elbow more or less under left shoulder. Your right fingers might be able to walk a little further, but don't take your right hip with them. So your right hip is going to resist pulling back. Big stretch around right armpit, rib cage, maybe even waist. Depending on how that shoulder feels, you might kind of drop the armpit towards the floor, more like a passive stretch. Another breath. And then from here, we're going to walk that right hand in and we're going to come onto both forearms. So this is where we'll take it into our forearm plank. If you'd like to do your forearm plank with your hands or your arms just as they are, meaning forearms parallel, palms facing down, you could do that. You could also do palm to palm, interlacing fingers, except the pinkies, and then finding this kind of triangle base with your forearms. So it's up to you. You could take it by stages, or if you know that your forearm plank is there and you know where to go, definitely go. If not, you could take one leg out first, knees lifted, and then I want you to try and find that sounds a little bossy. I don't mean it to be bossy, but see if you can find some action through kind of that armpit area, so the pec muscles that we were working when we were doing elbow to elbow earlier. So kind of, you're pushing the floor away with your forearms, you should feel almost like you're moving your chest away from the floor rather than collapsing your chest towards the floor. Okay? You also feel your shoulder blades kind of pull apart a bit, but you're not rounding. Okay? So it's kind of subtle from the outside, but very obvious from within. So see if you can find that. And you can try and find that just with one leg out. I mean, you can find it with both knees down if you like, also, definitely. Okay? Or you could take it to both legs out, both knees lifted. Try not to lift your bum. We'll go to that in a moment or in a little bit. Try to squeeze through your glutes. Imagine pubic bone, belly button, lower ribs coming a little closer without rounding your back body. Hopefully all of that is making sense. But if nothing else, find that action of pushing the floor away with your forearms, that work through your pec muscles, that space between your shoulder blades. Take another breath in, another breath out. One more. And last one, see if you can make it a bit longer. Calm breath. And then we'll release, lowering those knees and take it into a child's pose. Sit bones towards your heels. Anything that you'd like to do with your arms that's going to allow you to reset, to let go of that effort, to just soften, come back to that easy breath. And even if here it's obvious because the body is probably talking to you quite a bit, there's quite obvious sensation happening, remind yourself of that there is a body. There is an awareness of the body, a grounding through the body, and a return to the present, to the here and the now. Even if those sensations now are getting a little bit more, not as loud, can you still tune into that body? One more breath. And then as you're ready, we're going to meet back in table pose. And then we're going to thread the needle the other side. So in the same way we did, this time it's the left arm that's going to go to the left. Find that rotation through your torso, turning towards the left. And then on your exhale, thread, bend into your right elbow and hover. So you're coming down towards the floor, but you're resisting, you're pushing away so that you can just be there hovering. And then again, open up left. Exhale, thread and hover. Another one, inhale, open. And exhale, thread, hover. On your inhale, open. And now as you exhale, swim that left arm forward. Go as far forward as you can. Land on your fingertips. And then lower onto your right forearm. Once you do that, your left fingers might walk a little further. Notice if your left hip goes on with them. And then resist. Left hip back as your fingers reach forward. Notice that stretch, left armpit, ribs, maybe all the way to the waist. And then depending how this side feels, maybe you drop that left armpit a bit towards the floor. And soften through the face. Maybe the neck could release a bit. And then when you're ready, walk those left fingers back in towards you. And once again, we're coming onto forearms. So now instead of that forearm plank, we'll try dolphin. And I like to get into dolphin from more like a table position, so knees under hips rather than from a forearm plank. I think it's a little, well, you're welcome to try both, but I feel it's a little, it keeps me a bit more grounded when I do it from this table. So I'll guide you from there. Just like we did in forearm plank, maybe forearms are parallel, or maybe you choose that triangle, interlacing those fingers. Once again, before you do anything else, find that action through the fronts of your armpits, find that action through your upper back, your shoulder blades are slightly moving away from one another. Your chest is not collapsing between your arms, it's doing the opposite. And then you're going to come onto the balls of the feet and then float your knees. See if by floating your knees, you can still keep that action through your upper body. And then you can play with lifting your hips. And then begin to send your chest towards your thighs. So it's as if you were trying to bring your ears to the insides of your upper arms. And that will require some play and some flexibility through your shoulders. And so play a bit there. And don't get too caught up with the legs or with the lifting of the hips. And focus a little, first focus on that upper body. And then if dolphin, or you know where to go, you can then begin to straighten a bit more into your legs once you've got the head between your arms. The top of the head is not on the ground, it's floating off. And your legs don't have to go all the way straight, but think about those heels heavy and the sit bones lifting. And the lift comes from the push from your forearms, pushing the floor away. Nice work. If you're there, take a couple breaths, feel. If you'd like to come in and out, you could do that too. And then when you've had enough, those knees lower. Make your way into child or any pose that is restful, that your shoulders can get a nice break. Your arms could kind of be underneath you or by your side. You could choose to take your palms up. If you have a block nearby, in your child's pose, you could place the forehead on the block. And then this gives you a bit more space between your shoulders and the floor. And then you can really let the fronts of the shoulders drop towards the floor. Being really passive right now and giving those arms a break. A couple more breaths. And then from your child's pose, lifting that torso, we'll make our way into a seat, however you want to get there. I'll meet you with legs in front. And we'll bring soles of the feet together and the knees wide. You could frame your hips with your hands, or you could bring your hands a little further back if that feels good. And then invite a press through the pinky side edge of your feet against one another, and see if those knees will move down just a bit more, getting that stretch through inner thighs. And take a couple breaths. And then with your next inhale, extend your right leg out to the side. Your left foot might come in towards that right thigh. And then find that lengthened spine. And then walk your hands forward, away from you as you fold. Forward and down. Again, hands could be on the block. That might feel nice. We're going to be now a little bit more passive, a bit more relaxed. If you want to keep some more of that inner thigh stretch, let your right toes and right knees stay pointing up towards the ceiling, keeping that external rotation. And then when you're ready, come back up through center, lifting that torso, and with hands or without, switch the legs. Right foot comes in, left leg goes out to the side. When you're ready, take a breath in, lengthen that spine, and then find again that forward fold and think long and down. Maybe hands on the block. You might find a bit more release through the neck. And again, you might explore that inner thigh stretch if you'd like. And just guiding the knee and the toes to stay facing up rather than rolling in. It's just subtle, it's not a big movement at all. And then use your next breath in to come back up. And then bending into both knees and planting both feet. We're going to come onto our backs. So as you prefer, maybe slow and controlled, as if you were being let down onto the mat. Each part of that back body arriving in its own time. And then eventually, when you feel that back body well grounded, bring those knees into your chest. And then use the knees into the chest. Kind of, you could do a happy baby or a loose happy baby, but use this to neutralize that back body. And especially if the upper back body is feeling, like it worked, it needs a little, tweak. Use the floor as reference and see if you can get most of your shoulder blades onto that floor. And then see if you can also find a bit more space through the back of your neck, a bit more length. That might mean sliding the back of the head a little further back, allowing the chin to drop down and in. And then let's keep the right knee drawing into the chest. Plant your left foot. You could guide the right knee towards the right armpit for another breath. And then we'll cross the right thigh all the way over the left. And you could stay here, left foot on the ground, or you could bring those legs in towards you. And again, you could stay here, or you could find your shins with your hands and then pull the feet away from one another. And try to keep that upper back body down, supported. And don't make this too much effort right now. And then release what you have. Plant your right foot, bring your left knee into your chest, maybe guide it towards your left armpit. And take a breath. And then cross your left thigh all the way over your right. Maybe you're pausing here. Maybe you lift the feet off the ground. You draw the knees into your chest. Maybe your hands come around your ankles or shins. And just like you did on the other side, you might just pull those feet apart, away from one another, keeping your thighs crossed. And then release, unwinding the legs, both feet planted. Maybe start with your knees bent and resting against one another. Your hands maybe come onto the belly, the lower rib cage. Your eyes might close. There might be some micro movements to be done with the pelvis, getting that lower back a little bit more in its neutral position. And if you haven't already, begin to smooth out that breath. And slowly letting go of effort. And then moving into Shavasana. So that might mean staying in this position exactly as you are, or it might mean shifting, lengthening those legs out, or those arms. Might also mean finding a seat or some other shape that will allow you to be without necessarily doing. A place where you just are. Enough as you are. Receiving more than giving or doing. And seeing what is right here, right now. Shavasana. As always, if a longer Shavasana is available, take it. If not, take some of Shavasana with you, this awareness of body presence, of receiving and noticing what's here already. So whenever you're ready, begin to find that breath, that gentle movement that will bring you back up. No rush to get there. Eventually, we'll meet in a seat. You might choose to rest your hands in your lap or to bring them to your chest. Your eyes might stay closed for a bit longer. And maybe you give yourself a breath. As always, we'll take this moment to acknowledge and appreciate the practice itself. To then acknowledge and appreciate our own practice, our willingness to practice. To acknowledge and appreciate all those who have practiced with us, not only today, but any other time. And then acknowledge and appreciate those who have made it possible. And we end with a word that means that the light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. Namaste.